Smart women follow these 7 rules. Smart women move differently. They've learned through silence, heartbreak, and observation that wisdom doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what you no longer entertain. A smart woman doesn't chase anyone or anything. She chooses. She knows her worth is not a question that needs an answer from others. When something feels forced, she lets it go. When someone shows inconsistency, she doesn't argue. She withdraws her energy. She's mastered the art of walking away gracefully. She doesn't beg for love, because she's already full from within. Her peace is her priority, her standard is her shield, and her focus is her filter. She speaks less and observes more. While the world screams for attention, she thrives in quiet understanding. Her silence isn't weakness. It's calculation. She reads energy better than words. She notices patterns, behaviors, tones, and the hidden meanings behind actions. She knows the power of pausing before reacting, because she understands that emotional control is the highest form of intelligence. When others lose themselves in chaos, she remains grounded. Her calmness confuses the insecure because they can't figure out how she remains unshaken when they expected her to crumble. She doesn't beg for loyalty, she reflects it. Her relationships are based on mutual respect, not convenience. When she loves, she's loyal, but she's never blind. The moment loyalty turns into manipulation, she detaches. She doesn't explain her distance, she simply redirects her energy. Her presence is a privilege, not a promise. She knows that people who truly value her will never put her in a position to question their intentions. So she doesn't chase closure. Her silence is closure. Her absence becomes the loudest lesson anyone will ever receive. Smart women also understand that peace will cost popularity. And they're fine with that. They don't seek to be liked, they seek to be aligned. She's not afraid of being misunderstood because she knows clarity isn't owed to everyone. When she walks away, it's never out of arrogance, it's out of alignment. She doesn't need to prove her goodness or defend her boundaries. She knows that walking in truth sometimes means walking alone, and she's okay with that. Solitude doesn't scare her, it strengthens her. She knows that peace isn't found in crowds. It's built in quiet moments of self-awareness. Most importantly, she moves with emotional discipline. She doesn't let anger make her speak or sadness make her settle. She doesn't let other people's chaos dictate her mood. Her emotions don't control her. She controls them. She knows when to respond, when to stay silent, and when to walk away. She doesn't seek revenge. Her success becomes her response. She knows that maturity is not about how loud you roar, but how still you can remain when everything around you tries to shake you. A smart woman doesn't compete, she creates. She's not intimidated by others, she's inspired. She invests her time in growth, not gossip. She builds herself in private so when she steps into the world, she's undeniable. She lives by values, not validation. Her standards aren't walls. They're gates that protect her peace. She's mastered the balance between softness and strength, emotion and logic, heart and boundaries. She knows when to nurture and when to walk away, and every time she does, she evolves, silently, powerfully, and intentionally. So yes, smart women follow rules, not rules made by the world, but rules that keep their spirit intact. They don't chase, they choose. They don't beg, they observe. They don't force, they flow. They don't explain, they evolve. Their silence is strength, their boundaries are power, and their peace is non-negotiable. Because at the end of the day, she knows. Being smart isn't about outthinking others. It's about understanding herself deeply enough to never lose her power again. Smart women don't chase. They choose. A smart woman doesn't chase. She chooses. She's learned, sometimes the hard way, that chasing anything or anyone always leads you away from yourself. She knows her value doesn't shrink when someone fails to recognize it. Instead of running after attention, she focuses on what truly matters: peace, purpose, and power. When she walks into a room, she doesn't beg for space. Her presence claims it naturally. She doesn't compete for love, validation, or attention, because she understands that chasing people who can't see her worth is a silent act of self-betrayal. She chooses to redirect that energy back into herself, into her growth, her healing, and her future. Smart women understand the difference between effort and desperation. They give effort where it's reciprocated. They give time where it's respected. And when they sense imbalance, they don't complain, they correct it with distance. Her silence speaks volumes when her value is questioned. She doesn't need to beg for someone to stay. She doesn't explain why she deserves loyalty, because deep down, she knows. If it's real, it will meet her halfway. If it's not, walking away is her act of strength, not weakness. Every smart woman has been through the phase of chasing validation, chasing closure, chasing understanding. But with time, she realizes that the chase is a trap. It drains her light, her confidence, and her energy. So she stops, she pauses, and in that stillness, she discovers something powerful, that her worth is not found in being chosen, but in being selective. She no longer asks, why didn't they stay? Instead, she asks, why did I keep allowing what drained me? That shift is where her power begins to bloom. She doesn't chase because she understands her energy is sacred. She's not accessible to everyone. She's not emotionally available to anyone who hasn't earned her presence. She's intentional now. Her love is valuable, her time is golden, and her energy is rare. When someone can't match that, she doesn't lower her standards to accommodate them. She raises her boundaries to protect herself. She knows that chasing people only teaches them that you're okay with being treated as an option. So she moves differently, gracefully, silently, but with power that cannot be ignored. A smart woman knows that attention is temporary, but respect is timeless. So she focuses less on who's watching her and more on who's worthy of standing beside her. She doesn't care to be liked by everyone. She cares to be understood by few who are genuine. She's not impressed by charm, she's moved by consistency. She's not distracted by promises, she's anchored by actions. The way she carries herself demands clarity. You either meet her with honesty or lose her to peace. There is no in between. She doesn't chase because she's busy creating a life that fulfills her, a peace that heals her, and a mindset that protects her. She's not waiting for someone to complete her. She's already whole. Anyone who enters her life adds to her. But she doesn't need anyone to define her. She's not afraid to walk away because she knows solitude is better than fake company. She's learned that being alone isn't lonely when you're at peace with yourself. Her power doesn't come from how loud she speaks, but from how clearly she knows who she is. When people try to test her, she doesn't engage, she observes. She knows that reacting gives away power, but responding with grace reclaims it. She's calm not because life is easy, but because she's mastered herself. She's walked through betrayal, heartbreak, and disappointment, and yet she still chooses love, but this time, with wisdom. The smart woman doesn't chase because she finally understands. What's meant for her doesn't need to be forced. The right people don't confuse her. The right opportunities don't require her to beg. The right energy doesn't drain her. It nourishes her. So she stops fighting for what's fading and starts focusing on what's flowing. Her stillness becomes her strength. Her patience becomes her power. When she stops chasing, something magical happens. Everything that aligns with her energy starts chasing her. Peace finds her. Opportunities notice her. Real love recognizes her. She doesn't have to shout, post, or prove anything. Her aura speaks for her. Her presence tells her story. Because when a woman truly knows her worth, her silence becomes her loudest statement. She no longer runs after what's leaving. She runs toward what's growing. She understands that every time she chooses herself over chaos, she wins. She's no longer interested in convincing anyone of her value. She lives it. Every decision she makes, every boundary she sets, every time she walks away, it all says one thing: I'm no longer chasing. I'm choosing. And that's the rule smart women live by. They don't chase validation, they choose alignment. They don't run after attention, they attract respect. They don't fight for love, they flow with peace. Because once a woman learns that choosing herself isn't selfish, it's sacred, she becomes unstoppable. Smart women speak less, observe more. Smart women know the power of silence. They understand that the loudest person in the room is rarely the wisest. They don't speak to prove a point. They let time do that for them. Every word they speak carries intention, and every silence they choose carries meaning. She knows that when you speak too soon, you reveal too much. And when you stay quiet long enough, You begin to see who truly listens and who only hears themselves. A smart woman doesn't rush to fill the silence, she lets it work for her. Her calmness, her pauses, her subtle expressions, they all speak louder than words ever could. She has learned through experience that observation saves her from mistakes that emotion once caused. She's been through enough to know that not everyone who smiles is kind, and not everyone who listens is loyal. So she watches. She studies people, not out of suspicion, but out of wisdom. She reads energy before she reads words. She catches patterns others miss. She sees who shows up only when it's convenient, who speaks with sincerity, and who wears masks to hide their intentions. Her silence isn't emptiness. It's a filter. It reveals more truth than confrontation ever could. A smart woman doesn't interrupt her own peace to prove her point. She doesn't argue with ignorance or wrestle with lies. She understands that emotional control is real power. When she feels disrespected, she doesn't explode, she detaches. When people underestimate her, she doesn't defend herself, she lets her results speak. She knows that energy cannot be wasted on convincing others to see her value. If they can't recognize it, that's their limitation, not her loss. So she practices restraint. Because she knows that silence can't be misquoted, and self-control cannot be manipulated. She's learned that silence is a mirror. It reflects people's intentions faster than words ever can. When she steps back, the right ones reach out, and the wrong ones reveal themselves. She knows that in stillness, truth always shows up. So she doesn't chase answers anymore. She lets observation deliver them. She doesn't need to call someone out when their behavior already exposes them. Smart women know that you can learn more about a person in how they treat you when you're silent than when you speak. The smart woman uses her silence as a boundary, not a weakness. She's not cold, she's selective. She's not distant, she's discerning. She knows that protecting her peace means not reacting to everything that seeks to disturb it. She doesn't give energy to gossip, disrespect, or small talk. She's not interested in proving herself in conversations that lack depth. Instead, she listens deeply, not to respond, but to understand. She observes how people speak when they want something versus when they think she has nothing to offer. Her observation becomes her armor. It protects her from manipulation, deception, and disappointment. When she speaks, it matters. Every word she releases carries purpose. She doesn't need to talk about what she's doing. She lets her actions make the announcement. The quiet woman in the room often knows the most, but she doesn't feel the need to prove it. Her silence keeps people guessing. Her calm presence makes noise without her saying a word. People underestimate her because she doesn't perform. And that's exactly how she wins. She understands that silence is not submission, it's strategy. While others waste time reacting, she's analyzing, planning, and preparing her next move. Her power comes from patience. She doesn't react impulsively, she responds with clarity. That's what makes her different. She's not emotional in moments that demand intellect. She lets others reveal themselves fully before she reveals anything about herself. And by the time people realize she's already understood their intentions, she's already moved accordingly. A smart woman knows that listening is a superpower. It allows her to hear what isn't said. It helps her sense truth behind hesitation and dishonesty behind charm. She hears the tone, not just the words. She feels the motive, not just the message. That's why people can't lie to her easily. Because she doesn't just hear, she perceives. She picks up on inconsistencies, changes in energy, shifts in behavior, things most overlook. Her observation isn't cold calculation, it's deep awareness. She's not silent because she's weak. She's silent because she's wise. Wisdom has taught her that peace is more valuable than being right. Some people are too loud to be understood, and she refuses to join the noise. Her silence protects her from unnecessary chaos. It keeps her focused on what truly matters. She knows that when you stop explaining yourself, you start conserving your energy, and that energy becomes the fuel that builds your empire, heals your heart, and strengthens your soul. In a world that glorifies constant noise, where everyone wants to speak, prove, and react, she stands apart. She embodies quiet confidence. She knows that mystery is power. The less people know about her, the safer her spirit is. She's learned that what's private is peaceful. She doesn't post her plans, she plants them. She doesn't announce her moves, she manifests them in silence. And when the results appear, people call it luck, not realizing it was patience, observation, and discipline that built it. So yes, smart women speak less and observe more. Not because they don't have anything to say, but because they've learned when to say it. They've learned that silence is not a void, it's a voice of its own. A voice that says, I see everything, but I choose peace. Because at the end of the day, the woman who listens, learns, and watches quietly, becomes the one who leads powerfully. Smart women don't beg for loyalty. A smart woman never begs for loyalty. She reads it in the silence, the effort, and the consistency of those around her. She understands that loyalty isn't something you demand. It's something that reveals itself when things get real. Anyone can be loyal when it's easy, when it's convenient, when it benefits them. But a smart woman pays attention to who stands beside her when it's not. She knows who shows up only when she's shining, and who stays when the light goes dim. She's not blinded by sweet words or temporary affection. She observes actions, patterns, and energy. Because real loyalty doesn't speak, it proves. She's been through enough to know that loyalty isn't measured by promises. It's measured by presence. People will tell you they've got your back, but a smart woman doesn't believe in words, she believes in behavior. She knows that loyalty without consistency is just performance, and she no longer entertains performers. Her peace is too sacred to be surrounded by people who are loyal only when it's easy. She's not angry, she's awakened. She doesn't chase explanations anymore, she lets distance reveal the truth. When she gives loyalty, she gives it fully. Her love is not conditional, her loyalty runs deep. But once that loyalty is betrayed, she doesn't fight to fix it. She doesn't beg for people to stay faithful. She doesn't explain why betrayal hurts, because she's learned that explaining loyalty to a disloyal person is a waste of grace. Instead, she becomes silent, detached, unbothered. Her calmness isn't weakness, it's control. She knows that revenge doesn't heal betrayal, peace does. And peace comes when you stop trying to convince anyone of your value. A smart woman no longer breaks herself to keep others whole. She knows that loyalty is not about how long you've known someone, but about how well they honor your soul. She no longer clings to history when respect is missing in the present. She knows that time means nothing when trust is gone. She doesn't keep people around because of memories. She keeps people around because of integrity. And when loyalty is broken, she doesn't beg for restoration. She builds a boundary. She's learned that loyalty is not found in words like, I love you, or I'll never leave. It's found in consistency, in the small things, in how someone shows up when no one is watching. She notices the tone, the effort, the timing. She feels it when something shifts, when people's energy changes, when their words stop matching their actions. And when she sees it, she doesn't ignore it anymore. She trusts her intuition now, because it has never lied to her. She may forgive, but she never forgets patterns. Once her trust is broken, access to her heart changes forever. A smart woman understands that loyalty is not control. She doesn't demand it, she inspires it. Her presence, her grace, her consistency, they naturally command respect. She doesn't have to remind people how to treat her. Her energy speaks before she does, and the ones who truly value her won't make her question their intentions. The rest, she releases, quietly, without warning, without anger, because she knows the moment you have to beg for loyalty, it's already gone. She's not afraid to walk alone anymore. Solitude doesn't scare her, betrayal does. So she chooses peace, even if it means starting over. She'd rather rebuild in silence than remain surrounded by people who don't mean well. A smart woman knows that being alone with truth is safer than being surrounded by fake loyalty. Her circle may get smaller, but it gets stronger. She knows that peace and loyalty walk hand in hand, and she refuses to settle for one without the other. There's a quiet power in the woman who no longer reacts. When she sees betrayal, she doesn't expose it. She just detaches. When she feels disrespected, she doesn't fight. She distances herself. When loyalty fades, she doesn't chase. She chooses herself. That's not pride, that's protection. She's learned that begging for loyalty is like begging someone to breathe. If it's not natural, it's forced. And forced loyalty always ends in disappointment. Her silence becomes her boundary. Her distance becomes her statement. She doesn't post about disloyal people. She replaces them with peace. She doesn't seek closure. She creates it. She no longer looks for apologies from those who were never sorry. She simply thanks the lesson and moves forward wiser. Every time she lets go of someone who betrayed her, she returns to herself stronger, softer, and smarter. Smart women understand something deep. Loyalty is love in action. And she no longer wastes her energy on people whose actions contradict their words. She doesn't entertain excuses or emotional manipulation. She knows that when someone truly values you, loyalty isn't questioned. It's proven daily, quietly, effortlessly. So she's done explaining, done waiting, done begging. She's learned that walking away is not giving up, it's growing up. She now gives her loyalty only where it's honored. She no longer overextends herself for half-hearted people. She's learned that it's not her job to make people stay. It's her job to make peace when they go. Because she knows that the kind of loyalty she offers is rare, and not everyone deserves it. The smart woman doesn't beg for loyalty, because she knows her energy, her presence, her love, her effort are privileges, not guarantees. And when she walks away, it's never with bitterness, only clarity. Because once you've betrayed her trust, you can't earn the same version of her twice. So no, she doesn't beg for loyalty. She embodies it. She gives it where it's earned, protects it where it's shared, and withdraws it where it's abused. Because the smartest thing a woman can ever do is stop explaining what loyalty means and start showing what self-respect looks like. Smart women choose peace over popularity. A smart woman doesn't crave to be liked, she craves to be at peace. She's no longer impressed by crowds that cheer but don't care, by people who applaud but don't understand, or by attention that fades the moment she stops entertaining others. She's learned that popularity comes with noise, but peace comes with truth. And she's reached the point in her life where peace is priceless. It's not that she doesn't care anymore. It's that she finally cares about the right things. She's done trying to please everyone, done performing for approval, done chasing validation. Her worth isn't defined by how many people like her. It's defined by how deeply she honors herself when no one's watching. She understands that peace and popularity rarely coexist. To protect your peace, you often have to disappoint others. To stay true to yourself, you'll have to stop fitting into places that demand your silence. And that's a price she's willing to pay. She's not afraid to be misunderstood anymore, because she knows that those who truly understand her soul will never require an explanation. She doesn't chase acceptance. She chooses authenticity. She knows that being liked by everyone means she's probably abandoned herself somewhere along the way. And she refuses to do that again. Smart women understand that the world rewards performance, but peace requires presence. She's not interested in playing roles that please the crowd. She's more interested in being real, even if real makes others uncomfortable. She's learned to say no without guilt, to set boundaries without apology, and to walk away without explanation. Because peace demands discipline. It's not found in noise, it's found in boundaries. And every time she chooses peace, she teaches others how to treat her. She's been through the chaos of people pleasing. She knows the exhaustion of always trying to be enough. Enough to be loved, enough to be accepted, enough to be chosen. But now she's free. She's done bending to fit into spaces that shrink her. She's done lowering her frequency to be understood by those who can't meet her there. She's learned that not everyone deserves access, not everyone deserves her energy, and not everyone deserves her time. Her peace is her filter now. If it disturbs her calm, it doesn't belong in her life. A smart woman doesn't explain her peace. She protects it. She doesn't need to post about her boundaries or announce her healing. Her silence is proof of her growth. She's not interested in drama, in competition, in proving anything. She's not cold, she's careful. She's not distant, she's discerning. Because peace doesn't require performance. It requires protection. The moment she feels drained, she steps back. The moment she feels disrespected, she detaches. The moment she senses manipulation, she moves differently. She's learned to listen to her nervous system more than her emotions. If it costs her peace, it's too expensive. She no longer trades authenticity for approval. She understands that not everyone will like the woman who chooses herself. Some will call her selfish for prioritizing peace, but she knows that self-respect will always be misunderstood by those who benefit from her lack of it. So she stops explaining and starts evolving. She knows her peace is sacred ground. Not everyone is meant to walk on it. Her calmness makes some people uncomfortable because they can't manipulate what they can't trigger. And that's exactly why she guards her peace so fiercely. It took her years to build it. Smart women know that peace isn't found in perfection. It's found in presence. She's learned to let things be, to stop forcing what's fading, to stop fixing what's broken, and to stop running after what's walking away. She's learned that peace comes when you no longer need to control everything. She doesn't chase closure anymore, she creates it. She doesn't beg for understanding, she releases it. Because peace isn't about everything being calm. It's about being calm no matter what's happening. She's not impressed by numbers, not by followers, attention, or applause. Her value doesn't depend on how visible she is to others, but how invisible she is to drama. She knows her peace is her power. The quieter she becomes, the stronger she feels. Her stillness isn't weakness, it's her strategy. She's learned to move in silence, heal in private, and celebrate in solitude. She doesn't broadcast her life anymore, because peace doesn't need an audience. It needs protection. There's something magnetic about a woman who's at peace. She no longer reacts, she responds. She no longer argues, she understands. She no longer seeks to prove, she simply knows. Her peace speaks louder than her words ever could, and that quiet confidence is what draws real things toward her. Real love, real opportunities, real alignment. Because when she's centered in peace, she becomes untouchable. The smart woman has outgrown the need to be seen. She wants to be understood by herself. She's not chasing attention, she's chasing alignment. She's not seeking popularity, she's building peace. She's learned that true freedom is not found in being liked. It's found in being at ease with who you are. She knows that peace doesn't mean a life without noise. It means a mind that's no longer controlled by it. So yes, smart women choose peace over popularity, because peace doesn't fade when the crowd leaves. Peace doesn't depend on validation. Peace is what remains when everything superficial falls away. It's the soft glow that stays when the applause stops. It's the quiet joy that comes from knowing you're being true to yourself. She doesn't need to be everyone's favorite. She just needs to be her own peace. And in that truth, she finds her freedom. Smart women move with emotional discipline. A smart woman has learned to master her emotions. Not because she feels less, but because she has learned that power lies in control, not reaction. She knows her feelings are valid, but not every feeling deserves an audience. She's felt the chaos of overreacting, the exhaustion of explaining herself to the wrong people, and the regret of giving emotional access to those who didn't deserve it. So now she moves differently. She breathes before she speaks. She observes before she responds. She waits before she decides, because she's realized that emotional discipline isn't suppression, it's strength. It's the quiet awareness that you don't owe your reaction to everyone who tries to provoke one. She's no longer at war with her emotions. She's in alignment with them. She doesn't let anger make her impulsive or sadness make her desperate. She allows herself to feel, but she refuses to be controlled by what she feels. That's emotional intelligence. Feeling everything deeply, but acting with wisdom. She doesn't scream to be heard anymore. She doesn't argue to prove her point. She knows that sometimes, silence communicates what words never could. And that silence, that composure, that stillness, it shakes people who are used to chaos. A smart woman has learned that the one who can stay calm when provoked holds the real power. People expect her to react, to break, to explode. But she doesn't. Her peace disarms manipulation. Her calmness confuses those who used to control her with emotion. She knows that reacting gives others the power to dictate her mood, but responding gives her back her control. So now, she chooses her words like weapons, not to wound, but to win quietly. She doesn't chase closure or revenge. She doesn't fight battles that aren't worth her energy. She knows the cost of peace, and she's willing to pay it. She walks away, not because she's weak, but because she's wise. When people throw insults, she doesn't throw them back. She lets karma handle the conversation. When people lie, she doesn't expose them. She exposes her absence. Because she understands that emotional discipline is not about holding back, it's about holding power. She's learned that not every opinion needs her reaction, not every provocation deserves her energy, and not every situation requires her emotion. She doesn't argue with ignorance anymore because she knows silence will say what ego never can. Her emotional maturity comes from experience, from being tested, triggered, and taught by pain. Life has shown her that peace is a choice, not a coincidence. So now she protects her inner world the way she once protected others. A smart woman knows that emotional discipline is the art of balance, between feeling and thinking, between empathy and boundaries, between softness and strength. She can be gentle and fierce, loving and detached, patient and powerful. She no longer feels guilty for walking away from people who bring out the worst in her. She's not afraid of being misunderstood for choosing calm over chaos. Because she knows that peace requires distance from what disturbs it. She has mastered the pause, that sacred moment between trigger and reaction. That's where her strength lies. In that pause, she decides whether to react or rise, and most times, she chooses to rise. She no longer gives anyone the privilege to control her energy. She can hear lies and stay silent. She can feel pain and still smile. She can sense betrayal and still walk with grace. That's emotional discipline. Not the absence of feeling, but the ability to navigate feeling without losing herself. Smart women know that emotional control doesn't make them cold. It makes them clear. They don't need to scream to prove they care, or cry to prove they're hurt. Their power is quiet, their presence steady. They understand that chaos thrives on reaction, so they give it none. People may call her emotionless, detached, even heartless. But they don't see the strength it takes to stay calm when the world is testing your limits. She knows that being unbothered doesn't mean being unaware. It means she's choosing peace over performance. She's learned to respond with grace, not to please others, but to protect her energy. She doesn't post everything she feels, doesn't confront every insult, doesn't explain every decision. Her life is no longer a reaction to others, it's a reflection of her control. She's become the woman who smiles not because everything is perfect, but because she's learned to remain calm, even when it's not. The smart woman understands that emotional discipline is a superpower in a world that profits off your reaction. People will try to trigger you, drain you, and make you doubt yourself. But when you don't respond the way they expect, you reclaim your peace. And nothing is more powerful than a woman who knows how to remain calm while everything around her demands chaos. She doesn't suppress her emotions, she channels them. Her pain becomes wisdom, her silence becomes healing, her patience becomes her weapon. She knows that sometimes walking away speaks louder than confrontation ever could. She no longer allows temporary emotions to create permanent damage. Her peace is non-negotiable, her composure unshakable, and her focus untouchable. So yes, smart women move with emotional discipline, not because they don't feel, but because they've learned that emotions are meant to be managed, not misused. They know that power isn't in reacting, it's in remaining calm, centered, and self-aware. And that kind of woman, she's unstoppable. Because no one can control a woman who controls herself.